Welcome to Make More Money. In this show, we'll be talking with business leaders who have woven or are weaving character-based capitalism into their company culture and their value proposition to create a distinctive competitive advantage. Character-based capitalism is about more than just making money. It's about building trust between suppliers and customers and doing what's right for all stakeholders, which then deepens relationships that also then drives business sustainability. Today's topic is people, the essential element for building a sales engine with real horsepower for your business. Today's guest is Craig Lowder, the president and founder of MainSpring Sales Group. Craig is a seasoned business veteran who has helped business owners of small and mid-sized businesses build their sales platform over the past 30 years. He has held senior sales, leadership, and advisory positions in 47 companies and has driven first-year annual sales from 20% to as high as 140%. His experience spans a variety of B2B and B2C enterprises and industries, including retail, manufacturing, information technology, and business services, and in a variety of settings, including startups, acquisitions, and new product launches. Craig, welcome to the show. Glad to have you.
Thank you, Dr. Ray. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you very much.
Really believe in what you're doing.
Well, likewise.
Thank you.
So could you please tell us a little bit about your business, how you got to where you are?
Okay. Where I started from, I've worked in small and mid-sized businesses for over 24 years. 16 in senior sales and marketing leadership roles in the past 8, for lack of a better term, as a sales consultant. I find that I really get my juices flowing in working with entrepreneurs of small and mid-sized businesses. And I realize that the core competency that I've been given is the ability within these organizations that I work with to develop significant, predictable, and sustainable sales growth by installing sales infrastructure within their organization, which involves systems, strategy, and organization, specifically people.
Wow, that's an awful lot. Now, let's face it, you've helped a lot of business leaders during your professional lifetime. So where have you found companies going wrong when it comes down to hiring members of their sales force?
Generally, they're hiring people based on their experience. They're looking for someone within their industry that's had a successful track record and potentially a Rolodex of clients to bring in. The reality is that's the least important thing that they need to look at. In hiring salespeople, they really need to ask themselves 3 questions. Can this person do the job, which is where the primary focus is? The second thing is, will they do the job? Because there are a lot of people out there with successful track records, but they're not willing to do the job that's required at a particular point in time. And the thing that's always overlooked is, what is their cultural fit? How do they fit into our organization? And that's all about character-based capitalism.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that too, Craig, because when we talk to so many people, we talk about, well, capitalism is about making more money. But what you just noted, though, is that it begins with the human capital, which really drives the financial capital. And so when we look at this, how can you and how have you helped business leaders gain a better understanding of the human capital side of their sales team and not just driving to the numbers?
Excellent question. You and I have talked about that numerous times, Ray. We know that financial performance is driven by innovation, and return innovation is driven by human capital. So what we've talked to them about is how critical organizing their sales force and hiring the right people in their sales organization will make an incredible difference. And the core of it being, you've got to hire people with high character. Because in a sales environment today, it's all about trust. There was a study done back in 2009 by the Corporate Executive Board where they went out and interviewed over 2,500 decision makers of products and professional services. And they were able to determine that people made their purchasing decision on primarily 4 criteria: price, product or service per se, the brand, and the interaction with their sales rep. Only 9% of the time was a purchase decision based upon price, and that's when the product or service was totally commoditized. The product per se and the brand, GuideStar, was 19%, both cases was 19% of the time, but 53% of the time the decision was based on the interaction that they had with their sales representative. And it was all about building an element of trust.
Yeah. And as we've talked before, that trust doesn't happen overnight.
Start, what are your core values?
Yeah.
Not only is it what's on the wall, but give me some examples or help me understand how you demonstrate what those core values are.
So what you're really talking about is character, and as we say, values and action.
Yes.
Okay. And so when we think about the amount of time that you have spent with entrepreneurs and business leaders, okay, what advice would you give a business owner when it comes to assessing the character of their sales force?
It gets back to, number one, starting with understanding their why, going through a behavioral interviewing process to understand what's driven the previous decisions in their life and what's likely to drive their decisions going forward. I read a book probably about 35 years ago called The Evaluation Interview by Dr. Richard Fear, and it was really behavioral interviewing. It's more about the why. Why did you make this decision to go to school at this place? Why did you get involved in certain extracurricular activities? Why did you pick this one company over? What was it that you really liked? What was it that you didn't like? So it's getting down to understanding through behavioral interviewing processes and driving down to what the real core values are, as opposed to saying to them, hey, Dr. Ray, what are your core values? Because everybody, if they're good interviews, can say the right things, but it's better for them to demonstrate what their core values are, and then from that you can ascertain what they are.
Yeah, in fact, excellent point, Craig, as far as the behavioral interview. There are several ways to get there, but you have to really dig beneath the surface. It's not just what they're saying, but really what's behind all of that.
Exactly.
And that doesn't happen overnight. And that's why really good interviews are going to be layered. You do some screening at first, but then you really get into the guts to find out who this person really is. And that's critical for leadership. Because I think, again, you and I have talked about the whole idea of being a sales leader versus being a sales manager, okay? And the critical role of character in that.
Yeah, and the sales leader, and the difference between a manager and most of the people in sales leadership roles, and I hate to say that, but most, they're managers. They're managing people and they're managing things, as opposed to understanding that their role should be to enroll and inspire people to do stuff independent of them. And to me, that's the real difference in a leader.
Absolutely. Craig, I wish we had more time. So how can people get a hold of you and find out about how they can improve their sales plan, their strategies, their tactics, et cetera, and how you can help them do that? Well,
thank you for the opportunity. There's a couple of ways. My name again is Craig Lowder. You can reach me at 630-649-4943, or feel free to email me at clowder, that's CLOWDER, at Main, M-A-I-N, Spring, S-P-R-I-N-G, sales.com.
Thanks again, Craig, for being on our program, and thank you very much for your insights and the inspiration you're giving to those who are on our listening audience. And thank you all for joining us for Make More Money Through Character-Based Capitalism. We look forward to seeing you the next time.